This is Lonesome Report. I'm Jim Mundorf in Southwest Iowa. I'm not with Shad Sullivan at the headwaters of the Bitter Creek, Archer County, North Texas.
I'm pretty
Um,
dang close.
what's that?
I'm pretty dang close
You're cl dang close to what?
to the
Headwaters?
to the headwaters
Oh.
of Bitter Creek. I'm not exactly on the
No, I'm saying
headwaters to
I'm
it.
not there because the
Yeah,
last time we did this, I said I would be,
that's right. I
we would be
misunderstood. You're
down
right.
there.
Yeah.
I'm not down there. Maybe next week. I'm in the middle of a giant project. And then I just moved my computer, if anyone's wondering, because people think I've gotten comments on those horns poking out of my head. And I
I
look
love them.
demonic. They say I look demonic.
I think you look like a cowboy.
Um, anyway, here we are talking about if you want to support what we're doing, go to lonesomelands.com, click on subscribe, buy a t-shirt or ball cap, or share the video. That's the best way to support what we're doing.
Get some
And we
merch.
get together once a week and talk about what's kind of going on in the world and agriculture. Um, I don't know. This week, I feel like me and Shad have both been super busy, so we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. The one thing I wrote down over the week, USDA removal of climate change mentions from website. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Should we talk about Brooke Rollins? Is she for sure confirmed?
Not confirmed yet.
She just passed through something because she had a big thank you post.
Yeah, but that was just for the Senate Ag Committee and all that stuff.
So on the last one, you asked a question, who is running the USDA?
Guy by the
Did
name
you
of
get
Gary
it?
Washington.
Okay. So like Vilsack is just gone.
He's gone. He's already taken another job with I think it's an environmental organization as their CEO.
That makes sense.
Makes
He
total sense.
probably shoveled a ton of money to them, and now they're going to pay him some of that money that he gave it to them.
Yeah, so a guy by the name of Gary Washington is heading up the USDA right now. I'm assuming that he is, along with some other holdover from the agency, made the decision to, open the border to Mexican imports in the next few days. I don't know. We had a real market collapse Monday and Tuesday over it. It's recovered a couple bucks today. People are saying, well, this is about tariffs. No, it's not about tariffs because we have been talking about tariffs for 2 months. We knew Trump was going to start the tariff talk, which, by the way, I'm supportive of. But once they mentioned this border opening, this market just kind of went, whew, took the air out of it, the sail out of it. And reasonably so, Jim, because we know that there's hundreds of thousands of head of cattle down there waiting
So
to be imported.
for people unfamiliar, I feel like we just jumped into that. Imports, live cattle imports from Mexico, meaning live cattle, could not cross the border because of a screw worm that was found, which is kind of like a maggot that gets into there that is can be passed, I guess, between cattle.
Yes, correct.
So that has been closed, and then they announced it was like Saturday night or something, wasn't it?
They announced it
It was
on
weird
Saturday.
timing. Yeah, because I talked to Jack on Sunday, and he goes, "Well, they opened the border." I said, "What?" And yeah, because I hadn't heard nothing about it. But yeah, so they announced they are opening the border, and someone um commented to me like, "Boy, that's convenient." NCBA has their convention in
Yeah,
South Texas. Placements are down, meaning cattle in feedlots in Texas are down 26%, I believe.
they want those cattle
The
in them
number of
feedlots.
cattle down in the Texas feedlots are down 26%. And then right before the NCBA convention, they announce, which if you just talked about, it's a holdover from USDA. We know how
Correct.
closely they're connected, so maybe who knows? Who knows? But I like where their head's at. I like a good theory. Like this don't make sense. Why are they doing this perfect timing type of deal? But anyway, um, but I guess that Vilsack deal goes right into what I was talking about. They have removed all mentions of climate change from USDA websites.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to me when you think back about like 2 years ago. I mean, even just a few months ago with the USDA, while Vilsack was there, we talked about this over the past year. Number one priority, monitor, what was it?
Measure, monitor,
Measure,
report, and
monitor,
verify.
report, verify. MMRV is was USDA's number one goal on everything, and what the measurement, monitoring, and reporting and verify all had to do with greenhouse gas emissions. Um,
Carbon.
well, greenhouse gas emissions because carbon. See, I used to make that same mistake.
Oh,
Um, Cattle don't emit carbon; they emit methane.
cattle are carbon.
Well,
You
okay,
and I are carbon.
I'm just telling you, the whole freak out over the cattle being bad for the environment. If you said
Yes,
they're contributing carbon, they're
right.
actually contributing methane, which is a different
That's
kind of
correct.
greenhouse gas. So if you say greenhouse gas emission, that covers everything.
Right.
Um, yeah. And so, yeah, that's quite the turnaround where it's not even mentioned. And we give out $3 billion. I mean, I think they've given out way more than that because it seemed like every couple months you'd hear about another 1.2 billion given here, 1.3 billion given there. The entire USDA priority list was climate change. And now it has been completely removed
Yep.
from the website. What a turnaround. What a
Yeah,
glorious turnaround.
it is a glorious turnaround and DEI too. I mean, they said get that DEI off of that stuff. So I think that's a huge win for the American people and certainly a huge win for freedom and liberty. That's something that nobody seems to ever talk about when we talk about these issues that those mandates, and that's what they were going to turn into is mandates, were freedom inhibiting, right? And that's where we were going. So I'm very, very happy with the way the Trump administration is moving. I think the pace at which it's moving is awesome. I I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I like where we're going. I like it.
What do you think about? So that's the other, I guess the big news probably in agriculture was everybody freaking out over the tariffs for like a day. And then it turned out that it was kind of like a bluff a little bit, or it was just trying to get their attention on the border almost more, right?
I don't know.
Knee-jerk
I,
reactions are always the worst reactions.
And
That's what
you know that's something that I've learned from you because I'm a little bit of a knee-jerk
yeah.
reaction guy. And
I
you're like relax, Shad. I'm pretty intense about a lot of things. And you're like, slow down, relax. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction. But the knee-jerk reaction. Well, anyway, back to the tariffs. Um, I was just asked today if I supported tariffs, and I do. I do, even in agriculture. I'm like, let's get this production back on U.S. soil because the minute that we get this production back on U.S. soil and our local communities thrive, then our states thrive, then America thrives, and then the world thrives. That's how that works. That's how it's designed to work. And so I'm like, get some revenue in, protect this nation. Let's get it going. I'm all for it.
yeah, and like you what you always say is there's going to be growing pains, or there could be growing pains, and that's the truth. There might be some
I
growing
feel
pains.
like there might be growing pains on the border right now.
Yeah. So what do you think's going on there?
Well, there is a lot of um, cartel threats. I got a message today from a gentleman in South Texas, and he sent me a a deal that said an EID explodes when a rancher was checking on his ranch near Brownsville, Texas. Now, I said it was on the
IED.
mix.
We've got EID on the brain.
IED. It was on my
Improvised
EID is on
explosive.
my mind. Damn
Yeah.
it. They're both explosive to me.
I was thinking an ear tag blew up.
I mean, an IED. Now, apparently it was on that other side, but I know that they're sending here in Texas, they're sending a lot of state troopers down there. And I think we're going to have a little bit of a battle getting our border under control, but I'm all for that too.
Yeah. Well, I saw they get arrested one big time cartel guy and then a bunch of murders and cops getting shot and stuff down there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a rough time, but needs to happen. So what are you gonna do? Do
Yep.
you think here's something somebody brought up to me because all them cattle are coming across and somebody said the cartel is involved in everything crossing the border.
Including the cattle.
Do you think they're smuggling drugs and cattle?
Do I think? I know.
How do you know?
Well, I can't tell you that they are right now. I don't know that. But when I was a little kid and we were getting a lot of cattle, some of them coming out of that area, yeah, that was not a, let me just put it this way. That was not hidden. And we never bought
Would they
any
have
Mexican.
big scars in their
No,
sides or
no, no,
something?
no. They just put bags of drugs up their rectum.
And so
That's
they
it.
have a string on it and they pull it out or what?
I don't know how that works. I haven't ever been involved in that, but I do know this. One time, my dad uh, furnished the rope and calves at a very, very, very large rodeo in America, and another guy that was supposed to furnish the rope and steers didn't make it up there because he was arrested on this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And that was when I was a little bitty boy. But I mean, one time,
That was
I know,
before
I
all the
know all this
fentanyl.
happened, huh?
That was like before all the fentanyl. I feel like the fentanyl deal's a
This
bigger
was
thing than,
cocaine. This was
yeah.
cocaine. When I was a little bitty boy, my dad got this couple loads one night in the middle of the night of cattle out of Mississippi or Alabama, and I was little. We went out to unload those calves, and my my dad looked in the back of that trailer, and there was a big old package in the back of that trailer, and he asked that guy. He says, "Why is there a You know how my dad was an innocent man. He's like, "Why is there a package back there wrapped up?" And that guy, he went and got that package and he put it under that door at the on the bottom level of the truck, and he got that truck and he left. And my mom goes, "Are you stupid, Jerry? That was drugs." So I don't know.
The things that stick with you from when you're a
Yeah.
kid. But I've heard of somebody was telling me stories about dogs. They would put drugs inside of dogs, and then they would send a dog across the border, cut it out, send
Well,
them
I've
back.
I've seen them. You've seen them in airports on TV where they swallow drugs into their stomach, and then they
People or dogs?
people
Yeah.
retrieve them later. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not really up on the drug trade in America. I don't want to be either.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
These are
But
real
just
issues,
that's
though.
something that is out there.
No,
Drugs are
these are
coming
real
across in
issues.
cattle.
Real issues, and we know that they've been smuggling cattle from Honduras into the southern Mexico. That's not a secret.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And the crazy thing is how crooked everything is in Mexico. Like I did when I was I did a thing about Tyson Foods, how crooked they are. One of the things they got in big trouble for is they had a vet inspector. They had two vet inspectors, I think, or
right.
not vet inspectors, but packing plant inspectors in Mexico. And I can't remember if they were inspecting cattle or if they were inspecting the packing plants. I think they were vets inspecting cattle coming across. But Tyson was paying their wives like tens of thousands of dollars to get them to do whatever they wanted and or send cattle. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember how it was, but Tyson like they uh they pled guilty or whatever, took a plea deal on the thing, and some people got fired. And
Well,
business as usual, just carry
I
on.
guess.
But yeah, it's 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 crazy how crooked everything is down there.
And Jim, I love the Mexican culture. It's my
Oh yeah.
favorite. It's my favorite culture in the whole world. I just like when I one of my favorite shows is All the Pretty Horses, and I just love that culture, that
Well,
ranching
there you
culture.
go. Like, just don't
I
end up in prison,
I
right?
love that culture. Yeah, I don't like the prison sentence. I'm not going down there, so it don't matter.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, he goes down there, beautiful country, beautiful ranches, beautiful women, and
People, yeah,
he ends up in all kinds of trouble.
yeah,
Cormac McCarthy ends up in some trouble. Did you ever read anything about that?
no.
Hmm.
Who's that?
He wrote the book, All the Pretty Horses. You don't know who
Oh,
Cormac McCarthy is? He
why
wrote
did
No Country for Old Men. He wrote
yes, yes, I like that show too, but I always tied Joe, no, not Joe Bob. Uh, what is the guy on Landman now?
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton is. I thought he wrote that book, All the Pretty Horses. I don't know why I did.
that is a jump.
He directed that movie though.
You go from one of the greatest American authors ever to Billy Bob
Sorry.
Sling Blade. Um, anyway,
Uh,
Cormac McCarthy, some lady came out and said that when she was like 17 years old, he took her across the border to Mexico and had a relationship. But he's dead now, so he can't even defend himself. This is a weird deal.
Interesting.
Anyway, for the Cormac McCarthy fans out there
Yeah.
who probably don't want to hear about it. All right. What do you got?
I just
You got
told you everything
anything?
I had.
Oh, you had everything you had. Well,
Well,
I
I mean,
saw.
there's a lot going on. I mean, you have RFK with the is it Health and Human Services. That's going on today. I support RFK. I think that we're looking at a broken food system, a centralized broken system all around. I don't know his politics. I don't care his politics. I like his ideas. I like his idea of fixing what is wrong. I mean, Jim, I I'm kind of a fat guy anyway, right? So I can
You've
say all
lost
this.
all kinds of weight.
Yeah, but I can kind of say this because I fought my way all my life. And I can remember when we were little, if you saw a morbidly obese person, it was an anomaly. But now it's not. Now they're talking, there's a show on TLC called Dr. Now, and I catch it once in a while. And now he calls them the super morbidly obese. And so I was hunting with a doctor about a year or two ago, and he was a good doctor, and we went out and ate, and there was this person with this huge edema, these legs that were edemic or had edema bad. And I said, "What causes that?" And he said, "Obesity causes it." And I said, "Yeah, but I mean, I've known fat people not have this huge legs." And he says, "It's our food system. It's our broken food system. Our bodies can't flush these toxins."
Hmm.
And I'm like, that made so much sense to me because I knew there was something blocking something. And so I am all for RFK. I'm all for teaching our kids to be healthier. We try to do it with Beatty, although he is a little sugar fiend. He'll find a sucker and lollipop all the time. Um,
I hear
but
that. Kids are
it,
tough. My kid. Yeah, it's
they like
crazy what
sugar.
they eat. Oh, just and they're so picky. My kid, I got the pickiest eating kid. He just won't eat when
That's
you.
funny that you say that because I just told Beatty last night. I said, you know what would happen if when I was a kid and I didn't want what my dad or my mom fixed? You'd go hungry, boy. Because I think I made spaghetti or something, and he's like, well, I don't want spaghetti. And I'm like, tough, you're gonna eat it. You either eat it or you go hungry. And his mom goes, can you make him a cheese sandwich? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't make him a cheese sandwich. I said, you either eat it or you starve.
My kid'll starve. I got a red-haired kid, and he hits the. He's the most bullheaded. He's stubborn.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, get
The apple in
what
the
were we
tree,
talking
bro.
about before you got off on that? Oh,
HHS,
all
RFK.
right. I feel like a lot of people kind of are really exposing themselves. And the other big thing in the news is this USAID. How do you say that? USAID?
You said
USAID. Huh?
USAID. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's USAID.
But to go back to exposing themselves, that's what I felt like with the Bernie Sanders thing. He's like, and RFK's like, well, your campaign took millions of dollars from the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical. And then Elizabeth Warren, she's freaking out and screaming and yelling, just showing kind of like, how can you be so wound up? I mean, it's because they're so backed by the pharmaceutical and the
Fork-tongued.
fork-tongued. That's your favorite term,
That's
isn't
what
it?
they are. They're preaching against stuff.
Do you ever, when you say fork tongue, do you ever
I
worry that people might think you're crazy?
guess I've never thought or worried about it. No, they are
Did that
fork-tongued.
offend you? You looked offended when I said that.
No, it didn't offend.
Because when I hear that, I just feel like fork tongue, like fire and brimstone. It sounds like
No,
a fire and brimstone
Jim,
preacher, the kind
listen
of
to me.
thing.
Jim, when those people are preaching against stuff that they've participated in, they're accusing
I get
RFK
it.
against stuff that they've participated themselves in. That's fork-tongued.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm going
get
to
it.
tell you another thing. The liberals on my social media that are friends with me, they're going crazy too. I mean, they're saying the most wild, if we would have said the stuff that my liberal friends on social media are saying now, they would have turned us into the people to put us in the gulags. I mean, they're making threats. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna fight them in the streets and all this stuff." And I'm like, "This is dumb. This is dumb." That's why I say right and left, they take us to the same place. You better get right constitutionally.
Well,
That's
and
how I,
that's the other thing. Well, like go back to this USAID, how people are exposing themselves.
yes.
People who are mad that Elon Musk is finding all this fraud, it's obvious fraud, and money laundering and all
Money
this horrible
laundering.
stuff,
Mhm.
and they're mad that Elon Musk is involved. Like, well, he's not like here.
He didn't get
And the
voted in.
crazy thing, we just went 4 years with a guy who can't put one foot in front of the other. Who was running and they're like, well, Trump's not the president, Elon Musk's president. Well, who the heck was president for the last 4 years? Nobody
No
even
joke.
knows.
Yeah. Well, and
And
I
so it's
mean, not
so,
only
and they never worried about that back, when it was obvious, Biden couldn't run for president, but he could be the president. So, and that was
Well,
also
not only
obvious.
that, but they're saying, well, they're just making up these agencies. My gosh, nobody made more agencies than the Biden administration. You go through the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, and there's a climate change agency. There's a this for that for climate
DEI
change. There's a
agencies, yeah,
DEI agency, and I'm like, they just made up their agencies just to hire their friends. That's all they did.
yeah. So here yesterday, to go back to agriculture,
Mhm.
this was, I think, this was what was reported yesterday. In 2023, USAID continued its support by supplying 12 million worth of equipment to enhance grain export capacity and resilience under its economic resilience activity. Additionally, fertilizer seeds were distributed to over 8,200 farmers across 15 regions. They're talking about Ukraine here. The agency also allocated an extra 250 million in 2023 for future agricultural growth through its harvest program. So 8,200 Ukrainian farmers got free uh, grain seed because of through this USAID money laundering BS. More and more stuff's just coming out constantly about.
Why? I heard yesterday that Zelensky told Trump, and I can't confirm this because I haven't looked it up, but um, told Trump that Trump said something about us sending him 150 billion, and he's like, "What are you talking about? We only got 50 billion." So I'm like, "Well, where's the 100 billion? Have we laundered that back into the United States? I mean, this is crazy."
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, and then one of the best tweet. I don't know who sent it, but it's like only the U.S. government, only when you're talking about U.S. government can news people be like, well, who cares about $40 million?
Yeah.
You know, like wait a second here, you
God.
know, and that's where we're at. Like, oh, th this one lady on CNN was like, well, it's only 1% of the federal budget or whatever, so who cares about millions and millions and hundreds of millions of going to this stuff? And
Only
it's
1%
like,
of the federal budget. Well, let me just tell you something from a cattleman's point of view. If you own 100,000 head, 1% of that if 1% dies, that's 1,000 head. Now think about that.
yeah,
That's real numbers. And
yeah,
it's just all about perception, you know. To me,
yeah,
every 1% adds up.
right, for sure. Um, what'd you think about Christy Gnome's get up?
You mean at the border?
Yeah, she was getting all kinds. Somebody said she was in a costume. She was wearing a cowboy hat.
I don't know. I need to help her shape her cowboy hat. I
Yeah,
guess
I know.
maybe I'll have an opportunity to do that.
I
But
don't like criticizing anybody hat because I'm sure there's, I don't know.
you've got
Wear
a
what you
good
want.
shape to your hat. Hey, listen, here's the thing. It don't matter how your hat is shaped, but you can tell if it's authentic, right? Like you got a good authentic shape. I've got a good authentic shape. I like my dad's shape from the 60s and 70s. Those are authentic cowboy shapes. But if you got one where the brim is pointing upward, that's a problem, boys.
Wear the front of it. I said I'm not going to criticize.
Oh,
Wear what
and
you
and
want.
then funny this week, a
More
buddy of
people should
mine.
wear cowboy hats. I'll say that. So I'm not gonna bag on her.
Well,
She's from
here's
South.
it,
She knows the culture, I guess.
so I can make fun of this because I experienced it. So this week, a friend of mine was out in Elko, Nevada, and he sends me this picture, and it's this guy that has his hat on backwards like this, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's in public." And I just kind of laughed at him, and I'm like, "Holy cow! It's supposed to be a cowboy deal, and he's got this hat on backwards." Which the poor guy didn't know, right? And I said, "Did you say anything?" And he goes, "No." And so then I was thinking about back a few weeks ago at our little county show, my little boy wanted to wear his black felt hat. And he was sitting up, I was sitting down and below in the cell ring, and he was sitting up with his mom. And his mom said, "Go get your dad." And he took his hat and he just threw it on and threw it on backwards. And I got up as fast as I could. And I run over there and turned his
Man.
hat around. And my wife and her coworker were watching me, and they got to laughing. Chad didn't waste no time getting that hat on right.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you go, so National Cowboy Poetry is a big deal. Elko, Nevada. It's a big songwriters and all
I'm going
kinds
to
of
be
stuff
out
out
there
there.
next year.
But to go all the way there and then put your hat on backwards, that's kind of a,
Well,
it's
he
pretty
wasn't perform.
authentic
No, he was just in
event.
town. He wasn't at the Elko Cowboy
Oh,
Poetry Gathering. He was just downtown.
oh. Well, still to be in town for that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, we're none perfect. We all had to learn. But
exactly, exactly. Um,
hey, tell us about your mirror. How's your mirror coming along?
well, there's why I'm still in Iowa, but it's a it's 11 and a half feet long and it's 6 feet tall.
Wow.
I don't know how much it weighs yet because I can't pick it up. I'm gonna have to have a whole crew of people to have help me load it. I've never built anything that I can't handle my own self, and I need probably four people to get this thing flipped over and loaded right.
So did the people that order the organization that ordered it from you, did they give you certain dimensions, or did they just
Yeah,
say, "We
they
want a
sent
great
me
big"?
dimensions. They sent me pictures of the wall that it's going on, which I kind of
Okay.
based how things were shaped. And for it's 70 cattle, longhorn cattle horns go around this thing. Um, it's a, I knew it was going to be a big deal, but now that I'm here and I pretty much have it done, and now I'm kind of going back to the start almost just to because I have to really reinforce it. Now that I know how much weight's there and how much I just got to go back and I got to pull all the horns off
Oh
and do
my
some different
gosh,
stuff and
Jim.
stick them back on. But they're all, I
Wow.
mean, the hard part is placing them. Once they're placed, I can pull them off, pick them, stick them back
Well,
on pretty quick.
you're not going to replace them,
No,
right?
they're placed and they'll
Yeah.
go back
So,
right where they came off of.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, and then you get to like when you're dealing with 70, because it's like, oh, I'll just take them apart and put them back together. But nothing's quick because I mean, if each one takes 30 seconds, well, then you know, you're it's like, yeah, it just everything takes a long time because it's
Yeah.
just so big. It'll
Yeah.
be something. It'll be something
It
when
is. I mean, I've seen the little snippets of it. It is a major undertaking. I'm proud of you. One of my most prized possessions is my horns I got from you. And I got some more horns from the sale barn the other day, and you're going to make me
how
something with them.
many you got now?
Just them four.
Oh, so you just got the one bunch from the sale bar.
Yeah. I looked for some yesterday morning and they didn't have any more. But these are nice, nice. They're really nice.
Yeah, well, I like horns. Um, what else? What? I wish this thing would tell me how long we've been going, because then I get going. I don't have no idea.
Well,
One thing
there's a
I feel
lot.
like we should talk about, Keely Cavello. Um, apparently all of northern. So here's something you would be interested in because I started thinking about this. But Gavin Newsom has this plan to get rid of all these dams, which will
Right.
destroy the agriculture community
Right.
in California. If you look at a map, an electoral map of California, it's pretty surprising, especially after this last election. I mean, the coast is blue, but the
Okay.
vast majority of the state is red, meaning they aren't going to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Right.
And so it just seems like, what she talks about her community, and she's desperate to get this to Trump and USDA and to stop this.
Well,
Because once those dams are gone, they're just
they're gone.
gone.
But I
And
think
the
Trump is
water's
already,
gone.
Yeah, and I think Trump is already getting on top of that. From what I understand, I've just read a little snippet here and there that there's more water flowing in California for these people, for the Californians now already, with maybe an executive order or something from Trump. But I got to give old Keely Cavello props. Now she's quickly become an American hero. She's exposing a lot of great stuff, and we have to remember that California. This is why we call Colorado California, communist Colorado. They did the same thing. This is the power of concentrated numbers, right? And they changed the culture. They have power over rural America. California is a phenomenal agricultural producing state. It's awesome. I want to go out there. But the power is in the concentrated numbers, and that is what dictates, all everything that's going on. And so they have a lot of reform that needs taken. And I think with the fires that were so devastating, and I don't know how many homes were burned, but a lot. I think that has woke those people up to the importance of being uh maybe I'm not sure I should say sovereign. They are sovereign, but the importance of the vote maybe, because I hear a lot of complaints coming out of there now. So
I can't imagine how do you vote for that guy?
I don't
Again,
know.
after everything that's happened and his whole video where you see that where he's all, well, he's like, he's just the worst. And then they wanted him to run for president. That's what's kind of wild too. Um,
Woo. Boy, that would be a train wreck, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Well,
So
what do you think, how do you think Trump's doing in this first couple of weeks? What do you think?
I think it's what somebody says is just going to be, it's incredibly hard to keep up with everything that's happening already. The media's freaking out like something new every 15 minutes seems like. And JD Vance, I think he said yesterday or today, he said, "Well, get used to it because we're going to do this for 4 years. We're not letting up for the next
That's
4 years."
awesome.
And I think it is awesome because you look at these things and reform, like this U.S. aid thing is just one of the tons and like anybody who's looked at stuff. Like I looked at climate smart commodities, and it's just like, what the heck are we doing? It's a money laundering. You're just throwing money out to people, and hoping some comes back. And it's like we just talked about Vilsack. He works for some who knows who, but he probably sent him a ton of money, and now he's set. You know, um, it's just so corrupt. And there's so many organizations like this USAID. I bet you they come up with something. Well, they're talking about Department of Education. They're going to start going through there, and they're, all this money that just constantly flowing around. Nobody knows where it goes, and I think it's awesome that
Yeah, I do too.
someone is finally trying. It's almost like this is how it's supposed to work, right? Like when you hear the word revolution and people get the images of the guillotine. But this is what a revolution is supposed to look like. And people talk about democracy and all that kind of stuff. This is what it's supposed to look like. People voted someone in who wanted to completely reform the federal government. That's what they ran on. And it's like people said too, we're not voting for Donald Trump. We're voting for JD
Absolutely.
Vance, we're voting for Elon Musk, we're voting for RFK Jr., we're voting for all of that. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do when he ran. And
That's what I like
it
about
feels
Trump.
like kind of a revolution. Like we're finally
It
getting down
does.
to it. And you have these screeching Elizabeth Warrens and this rasking horrible people standing outside this USAID building because they're so scared of all this money and they're so scared of people finding out where it's going. And it's awesome to see. It's what I
I
mean.
I couldn't be happier. I mean,
Yeah.
today they were scrolling. I went uptown and got me a little barbecue sandwich for lunch, and they were scrolling on the TV, and they're all of Trump's executive orders. And I mean, there's a bunch of them, but they're all rescinding the communist orders from the Biden administration. And I couldn't be happier. I had great conversation today with some people that, I mean, they were so excited about all of this that we're talking about, getting the climate change out, getting DEI out, going back to common sense, you know, common sense legislation, getting back in touch with the people. That was the biggest thing is getting having the people run the government instead of the government running the people. This is all about the people, right? And so that's pretty exciting to me, Jim. I agree with you. It is kind of revolutionary. A little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, when you think about it, our whole lives have been with just these corrupt money laundering government that just prints money and nobody
Print,
knows
print,
where it
print.
goes. And you look at kind of the same thing, like you want to compare it to agriculture. And we got, the people, they want to demon when we talk about the checkoff, things like that, which are similar money laundering, type of operations. And then they'll say, well, them RCAP people are just a bunch of crazies. It's kind of the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
they want to demonize the people talking bad about it, but they don't want to talk about the issue.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of reminded me, this whole US aid thing. It's like, you're wasting all this money. Well, who are you to say? Like, it's like, why are you in charge? It's like, well, how about let's talk about the money we're wasting. And it goes, it's similar to different things that you've seen. There's
Well, it's
correlations there.
very, I mean, it's
Well, like Ethan Lane, he went on this podcast and talked about how people are talking about EID because they want to get their YouTube numbers up or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
This
he did.
Ethan Lane, who works for NCBA,
Yeah.
who is a
No stake in the
weasel.
game. No stake
Yeah,
in the game.
yeah. I mean, he's paid to, but it's like, well, how about let's talk about EID? Let's talk about how you today, we talk about NCBA. I was looking at their schedule thing today. They have a sustainability forum, you
Did
know?
they really?
Yeah,
I
it's
thought they
going
would
on
have learned
today.
last year.
Huh?
I thought they would have learned about
Oh, they're
that.
never dropping that. They still have, I looked at their website. They still have their whole sustainability website with the same pillars from the United Nations, their pillars of environmental and the whole
ESG.
ESG thing. It's still all up there. I was wondering if they would take it down now that like the USDA
And
is
now we
is
have the
taking it
poultry
down, but they aren't.
producers. Same thing, poultry producers. I seen a video yesterday, and the U.S. poultry producers have adopted sustainable development. And the three he was talking about their three pillars and continuous improvement. And I got on there and I'm like, do you even know what this means? You have no idea what you're doing to your own producers.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It just comes down from the corporation. Um, but yeah. So
Let
I
me
kind of forgot
remind
where we even
Well, let
started
me
on.
remind everybody that's listening to this. Sustainable development is production and consumption control. That means they're going to control what you produce and what you consume. And you have to live by the rules of production. Otherwise, you don't get in the market. Now, that is pure communism. And these are the rules that these trade associations are adopting here in the United States of America, the freest country on earth. We have to stop this. You have to start thinking as an individual, as an independent, freedom loving American. You've got to stop this. I mean, we are on a crash course, a collision course with, you talk about, people talk about humanity all the time. What their goal is would just decimate humanity. That's what this is all about. And man, when I see the cotton producers, when I see the egg producers, the NCBA, they've all adopted these communist policies. These come from communist countries, these policies do, and they're upholding them. I'm like, the fight we have on our hand is deeper than we can even imagine. And I have to say that we're going to teach Trump about it. We're going to teach these people that are under Trump about it. We're going to defeat this crap. I promise you, I'm not. I'm gonna at least go to my grave trying.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, Jim. It's
Well,
so dangerous.
to go back to last week, if anybody's attending the sustainability forum at the NCBA, I want to see the presentation they're giving on where we're at for attaining net zero in the cattle industry.
Yeah.
Right? That was the top priority two,
The
3 years
data.
ago.
Get
I
that
want
data.
to hear. I want to hear where we're at. What percentage? How close are we to getting to net zero in the cattle industry? Um,
So, Jim,
I
where
bet you
does
they're not. Oh, you think they'll still be talking about that?
I don't know. I want to know where the money comes from, where that I wish I could, talk about traceability. We need to be able to trace where their money comes from to push that agenda because that is not in any way, shape, or form, that does not come from the grassroots cattlemen. That does
Well,
not
you
come.
know where it comes from. It's the
I know
same
where it comes from.
ESG.
I know
Tyson
where it
Foods
comes
has the
from.
ESG report talking about how they need to be able to monitor all this climate
Earth to,
change stuff.
earth to plate,
Um,
man.
it's the
But why?
corporation.
I guess my point is why are these people that call themselves grassroots producers, freedom loving producers, people that voted for Trump because of freedom and liberty, why are they doing this? Why are they supporting that? Giving their money to these organizations that are working against their best interests? I do not understand it. I don't understand the thinking behind it. I don't understand anything about it. Help me understand.
They're not watching us. They need to share the Lonesome report. That's the thing. Just gotta keep working on informing folks.
I still love
Um,
America too.
you what?
I still love America too. Even though we have to fight this, I love America and it's worth fighting for.
Right on.
Right on.
Um, one last thing I felt like you probably have. You watch the Grammys? Felt like we got to talk about the Grammys.
No, but I'm watching a lot of riffraff from the Grammys.
That's what I did. I didn't watch 1 second of the Grammys, but I opened my Twitter feed on Sunday night and saw a butt naked lady. What'd you
Well,
think of
here's how
that?
bad I
I like
am.
see fur coats coming back.
Yeah, but are they real?
What's that? Oh, I doubt it. I doubt they're real. But
Um,
yeah, that was so for people that don't know, Kanye West's girlfriend wore a fur coat, took it off, was pretty much butt naked. I mean, I guess she had like a see-through dress on,
well, I
which I
didn't
don't
see
really.
that. Of course, I didn't follow
You know
it.
what I
I,
thought? I thought here we are. Like we predict this is we made it. Like as we've went through the years, everybody says, well, less and less left up to the imagination. Like when I was in high school, the girls were not dressing the way they do now. And everybody's like, well, it just gets skimpier and skimpier and skimpier. At some point, it's just going to be naked women walking around.
that reminds me of
We hit it.
that reminds me on of George Strait's show, The Pure Country, when his aunt came come to one of his shows and she goes, "The shorter the ride, the longer the car." Did you ever see that on
I,
Pure Country?
Pure Country, that movie.
That movie, Pure
Yeah,
Country?
I remember
And
that. I
he
don't remember
the
that part.
limousine the
Oh man,
limousine went and got his aunt at her house and
right.
picked her
Oh
from the
yeah.
airport and she goes, "One thing about it, show business, the shorter the ride, the longer the car." Well, I didn't see anything on that gal, but I did. I mean, everybody was talking about this Beyonce lady, and I don't really know who she is. But I mean, I've heard of her. I read a deal where she has 33 Grammys. 33 Grammys is a big deal. But anyway, they said she put a country music album together, and I'm like, what is that?
Somebody posted a
That's
song and
Murder
was
on
like,
Music Row for sure.
somebody was like, "This is the country music album," and it was just like a hip hop R&B song, and it was
Yeah,
on the country music album that won. So that's
yeah.
what everybody's wound up about. I guess that's the other thing everybody's wound up about, besides the naked lady. But I felt bad for that girl. She looked like she was scared to death.
Why?
The naked
Why
lady.
would she, well, why would she go and dress half naked
Well,
if she
yeah,
was
that's
scared
the
to death?
thing. I feel like Kanye West is a nut, and she probably loves being famous, so she just does what he tells her.
There?
Huh?
Was Kanye West there?
Kanye West was he brought the naked lady
I
to
know.
the
I don't
Grammys.
even. I thought Kanye West disappeared.
Yeah, I know. I don't think and then I heard also he wasn't invited and they kicked him out. Because yeah, he's
Isn't
been
he a Trump guy?
well, he was. I don't know. I don't think anybody's claiming him anymore. He said he liked some things that Hitler did, and after that it was like adios.
He-
Which Hitler had a big week, I guess. There's some UFC guy talked about how he wanted to go fishing with Hitler. And did you see that? And
No,
Dana White, who runs the UFC, said that guy is the dumbest guy on the planet.
no, I have
And it
no
was
idea.
the, I mean, I don't know. it's hard because like you want to make rural America look good, and then you got this guy from
Yeah,
the deep south, and he's out in his camo and his hunt shop or whatever
yeah.
wherever he is, and talking about how Hitler was cool, and just kind of sucks when you see that kind of stuff.
We're going to bring back prosperity to rural America in this administration. I feel it coming. We're going to bring prosperity back. We're going to
Well,
be
you always
great.
have idiots. I mean, it's just like
Oh
Kanye
yeah.
West, he's,
Well, I mean,
every group's gonna have their morons.
what did you see who the Democratic Party picked for their
Yeah.
DNC chair? I mean, of course, everybody's going to
Yeah.
have idiots.
Right. Some of them pick them to be their leaders.
I guess.
But the thing I was looking at before we started, good medicine, Charlie Russell. He had a thing in here about how, and it was from like the early 1900s about how women are leaving nothing up to the imagination. And you think about the bathing suits back then,
That
how
was
they were.
120 years ago.
Yeah, I know it. And now you look at where it's just been outfits have just whittled away over the years. You
Oh,
talk
that's
about
true.
nothing left to the imagination.
That is true. My dad used to always say that too. There's nothing left to the imagination. Is nothing sacred anymore, son? You
Yeah.
know, but
And that's when you know you're old and you got two daughters at home when it's like, oh, I don't like women walking around naked.
oh, it don't bother Beatty. Me and his mom are like, Beatty, you're the only one who can walk around this house naked all the time. And he's like, what? I'm not naked. I'm like, get some underwear on, boy.
Well, he's probably gonna love that you're talking about that.
Well, yeah, 30 years down the road, he's a good little kid. It's nice to have kids though, isn't it? You
Yeah,
got good kids. I got
the
a good
best.
kid. It's
The
fun.
best. All right, man. I think we've hit an hour. I don't know, but we will
We're
maybe
40 minutes
someday I'll
in.
make it to the headwaters.
Dude, you got to get down here, man.
Looks like nice weather. I wouldn't be sitting on my porch today. I
Oh,
know
it's
that.
so beautiful. We were at 92 on Monday. And
What?
then, yeah, 92 degrees on Monday. The cattle were dragging their tongues. And then yesterday we got up to 43. And then today we're at about 62. But um, I was talking to my mom on Monday and in Colorado, and I said, man, mom, it got hot down here today. I said, it got 92 degrees. And she says, well, man, it got hot here too. I went into the ball game and it was 76 degrees. And when I come out, it was 18. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Yeah, it was like almost 60 the other day here, and then like the next day I wake up and it was like
Yeah.
feels like 12 below, or it might have
Yeah.
been 2 days later, but
Yeah.
all right, man.
Okay, man.
We'll do better next time. Not that we did bad.
Hey, don't forget to go subscribe.
Yeah.
Buy some
So
merch.
go to lonesomlands.com,
Lonesome
hit
Lands. We
subscribe,
need.
share the video, tell
Yep.
people you like it, and let
Yep.
us know. One thing I was wondering, should we talk about agriculture the whole time, or should we go into the
No.
regular news? I
Listen.
don't know. I mean, well, I don't know
Our
what people
the
like.
base of our
Let us
listen.
know.
The base of our life is agriculture. That's always going to be first and foremost on our minds, right?
All right.
That's just the talk. But we can talk about some of this other stuff because it's all culturally viable, right?
Like
It's all.
airplanes dropping out of the sky. There's one thing we didn't talk about, but I mean,
Oh
what do
my
you say?
gosh.
What do
What's
you
that
think?
all about this week, man? That was terrible. There's
Bad
a
deal,
terrible
man. Bad
tragedy
deal.
in Washington, D.C. I feel so terrible for those people. What a tragedy. But there was several airplane crashes that killed quite a few people this week. And man, my heart goes out to them too. And if you don't like us, don't tell us. Just scroll home.
No, you can tell me. I don't mind. I got thick skin. Shad, I'll
Dude,
tell. Don't read the comments, Shad.
I get my heart hurt.
I like it when our stuff hits people that don't like us, because then it's like we're wide of reach.
I'm just going to tell you what my wife tells me every day. What's not to like?
Adios.